Hey everyone, Craig with Single Length School here, and welcome to our very first episode of the State of Golf, our weekly look into golf. We're going to cover a few topics here, get into some things. I thought this is a fun way to interact. So if you guys jump in during the live stream, do me a favor, say hello in the chat, let us know you're here. If you guys are watching this afterwards, by all means, feel free to comment down below. Do me a favor, guys, if you're watching, make sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our channel, and let us know where you're from. Let us know, do you play single length irons, or are you just here for some of the other tips and some of the conversation? And, guys, we're looking at a lot of things, doing a lot of things moving forward, and a lot of great things that are not only related to single length irons, but golf in general. So there's going to be a lot of topics that in our videos that are fun for everybody. Some stuff that'll be related strictly to single length irons, but the whole idea is to have some fun, talk some golf, and get to know each other. So what I want to start with here on episode number 1 of the State of Golf is, I'm going to cover this a little bit later, but if you guys are jumping in as you're coming in, do me a favor. Comment in the comments below. Let us know, what is your favorite golf memory? And I'm going to talk a little bit about mine as we go down the line here, but I want to hear from everybody else. What is your favorite golf memory? Is it something you did? Is it a hole-in-one? Is it someone you played with or beat for the first time? All of that stuff. So guys, let us know. We're interested in hearing from everybody, and definitely want to know what you guys think. So topic number 1, let's take a look back at the world of golf last week. And I think the biggest news last week was the result of Tiger Woods at the Genesis Invitational. Tiger didn't play well. It looked like he played well round 1, but as round 2, 3, and 4 went on, he struggled. And, you can say that about a lot of golfers, but that's uncommon when it comes to Tiger Woods and what we've seen in the past, what we've become accustomed to. When we saw him struggling last, he was having his back issues. He was coming off the surgeries. He was just recovering. So, it's funny because I didn't get to watch a lot of it. I was kind of in and out, but, I thought Thursday's first round, I thought that he did pretty well with all things considered. He doesn't have the best of track records at the Genesis on Riviera. So his round Thursday, I thought, was something that was a decent start for him, and something that would be something he could build on towards the weekend. But I don't know if the conditions got to him or what happened, but it seemed like Thursday and what went into Friday were completely different worlds. It seemed like he had struggles and the shots just weren't there. I don't know how else to say it, but I don't want to say the man choked. I mean, he's the best golfer of all time, at least in my opinion. And that's coming from someone that grew up in Arnold Palmer's backyard. Arnold's hometown's only about 25 minutes from me. I fly out of the Arnold Palmer Airport a lot, but to me, growing up, Tiger Woods was the guy I grew up watching, and in my opinion, because I've seen him at his best, the best golfer in the world. So for him to produce a result like he did at Genesis is somewhat disappointing to me, especially having some of the success that he had last year with his wins at the Masters and over in Japan. So to me, it almost felt like a missed cut with his finishing at 9 over or wherever it was for the tournament. It is something we're not used to with Tiger Woods, whether it's the Tiger Woods of past or Tiger Woods of present over the last few years. The President's Cup last year in general, the 9 over was disappointing to me. In fact, I and this is nothing against the other players in the field, but Tiger Woods in a tournament still has a draw effect on me. So I still like watching Tiger Woods play. I still enjoy watching him hit the ball and get around the course. So his showing last week was a little bit of a disappointment. And I'll be honest, every time Tiger's in a tournament, I tend to watch more of that tournament. But his performance last week, I found myself doing other things. I actually found myself watching the XFL, which is weird. Typically I sit down and I watch the golf tournament throughout. So, where does he go from here? Obviously, he's taking this week off at the WGC Mexico, and we'll cover that here in a moment. But, where does he go from here? We know the Masters is around the corner. He's got Bay Hill coming up, which is one of his favorite tracks. So, I kind of want to hear from you guys. Comment, leave us a note. Let us know. Were you disappointed with Tiger's results last week at the Genesis? Do you think he can bounce back at Bay Hill in the upcoming weeks? Do you think he has it in him, or is that a sign of maybe his last hurrah on tour? Like I said, I want everybody to interact. So let us know what you thought of Tiger's performance last week. Leave it in the comments. On to the next topic. And again, guys, as I said at the beginning, we want to hear from you later on in this episode. We're going to cover my best golf memory, but we want to hear about your best golf memory. So in addition to letting us know how you feel about Tiger, let us know your best golf memory, whether it's how you got started or your favorite shot or whatever sticks out in your head is that was my best golf memory. Next topic. Here's a good one. I'm in Pennsylvania. I know we've got a lot of followers all over the world, different places in the world, but we're at the end of February in Pennsylvania. Next week, we've got some potential golf weather. It all depends on whether it changes or not. But usually mid-March, early April is really where we get into the thick of things in terms of golf season, where you can get out there a few times a week. So prep tips. It's been a long winter, although we were fortunate enough in my area to actually have a couple days in November, around Christmas time and New Year's. We actually had some days where we were able to get out. I was able to get out one of those days there as well. But let's talk about some tips to help you prepare for the upcoming season. As I said, some of you guys probably get the chance to play all year. Not everybody does. So what do I do? What do I think works for people that have really taken the winter off, maybe joined a bowling league or a darts league or just went to the bar and drank with their buddies? How do you get yourself back into golf shape now that the season's approaching, and it's approaching rapidly? One of the things I like to do to start preparing for the season is actually I like to stretch. Believe it or not, and it doesn't matter your athletic build or how your body's built or anything. If you're an avid golfer that golfs, once a week, every other week, or more than that, you want to make sure your body's prepared for the start of the season. So one of the best ways to do that, believe it or not, is actually to take about 10, 15 minutes every day and stretch your body, because you guys are probably well aware, if you've gone away for a few weeks and come back to the golf game, you're going to get sore. Well, how do we avoid being stiff and sore, especially when there's a potential we're going to golf multiple times over the next few days? Prepare your body. And so there's some simple stretches that you can do to prepare your body for the upcoming season. Specifically, where you want to focus on is kind of your shoulders, your neck, your torso, and your upper legs, because those are the areas of your body that are really in use during the golf swing. So I'll even do my shoulders a little bit, but you can do some basic stretches. You can do some twists like this and go back and forth to start to loosen up these core muscles. You can stretch your legs a couple different ways. You can always do the old grab your foot and pull it up till it touches your butt, or as far as you can to stretch your quads up front. You can do some hamstring stretches. You can do some lunges. And again, do some side bends for the center of the core. And one thing I think a lot of guys forget about, and one thing I tell a lot of guys to do, is make sure you're rolling your neck and stretching your neck out, because it's amazing how once you start swinging the golf club 100 times per round or 70 times per round, whatever your scores may be, it's amazing how quickly your body can get sore and stiff. especially the neck. I always find issues with my neck. So make sure you're stretching your neck, and make sure you can even do some shoulder rolls, but make sure your neck, your torso, your legs, that whole area, your hips, start stretching those out. Do it every day for about 5-10 minutes. And when it comes time for golf season, you're going to see that your body is more prepared. You're going to eliminate the stiffness and the soreness of those of those rounds, and be able to play better golf quicker because your body's a little more prepared. One of the other things I like to do, and actually I don't have it here in the office with me, but I've got 2 different types of training aids that I make sure I'm working with. One of them you can get from Amazon or Dick's, but it's a weighted swing trainer, and it's actually a grip trainer. So it's a weighted club that's probably about 3 feet in length, something that you can swing with low ceiling height. And I recommend the ones with the grip trainers as well. They run about $20, like I said, your Dick's, your local golf store, Amazon. Get yourself one of those. Like it's the grip trainer, that's a big key for me as well, because I want to make sure we're going into the season my grip is correct. So I do that. So in addition to the stretching, I'll make 30-40 swings with that weighted club, and I actually make it both ways. I swing the normal way, and then I actually swing against my body the opposite way of my normal swing. I'm right-handed, so I'll take swings right-handed, then turn around and swing left-handed as well, so that I'm stretching out both sides. Another one I have, another training tool that is not only good for warming up and stretching out, but it's actually one designed to help increase distance with your drives, is it's called Super Speed. They are a company that manufactures, you actually get a set of 3 weighted clubs that are full length. There's a lighter, a medium, and a heavyweight. Some of you guys may have seen these. A lot of the tour players have gone to these to help increase their distance. Phil Mickelson's a big one. You see him on the range all the time using the Super Speed set. They're a little more pricey. They run about $200 for the set. But again, if you can get yourself into an area where you can swing the full length club, that's a great set to not only pick up to help you stretch out, but if you follow their protocols, you're actually going to increase your driver distance and actually strike the ball better. So overall, it's a great tool, not only to help you prepare for the season, but also use it all year long, and you're going to increase your distance on your driver. So guys, that's kind of part 2 here of today's live podcast. The state of golf is just talking a little bit about the tips to get you guys prepared for the season. We touched on it a little bit when we were talking Genesis. Today starts the WGC Mexico down there. Everybody loves it because the distance it's altered. The altitude, guys are hitting clubs 3 or 4 times longer than what they normally would. A pitching wedge normally in Mexico down at this tournament, it's now going instead of pitching wedge distance, 8, 9, 7-iron distance, somewhere in there. So it's a fun one to watch. But we talked a little bit earlier about Tiger not being there. There's some other big names that are there, most notably Tony Finau withdrew yesterday. I didn't see the full story on that, but I know he did pull out. I think Brooks is missing the tournament as well to prepare for the Florida swing. But, here's my take. You still have 50 of the world's best golfers. You may not have the big names of Tiger Woods or Brooks Koepka or, Tony Finau to an extent, but you've still got some really great golfers down there in Mexico. And it's a tournament that I really enjoy watching. And, when we wrap up here, I'm going to go catch some of it on Golf Channel and wherever it's going to run this weekend. But I guess the bigger question is for you guys, do you think the tournament loses value when you're inviting the top 50, 75 players in the world and some of those drop out? In this case, Tiger or Brooks or Tony. Does the golf tournament all of a sudden now feel like it's a second tier when you don't have all the biggest names in it? To me, it kind of does. You're talking these invitationals where it's the best of the best, and all of a sudden you have you know, 3 of the world's top 10 not participating for whatever reason. You know, and hopefully Tony is not missing due to a serious injury or something like that. But I think the tournament loses a little pizzazz. I mean, comment below, let me know what you think. But I do think those invitational tournaments, yeah, I mean, you're inviting a specific group of people, the top 50 in the world. Why shouldn't we expect the top 50 in the world or the top 75 in the world? They're guaranteed to play all weekend. But it just seems like something's missing. And I mean, Tiger could still be there, but without maybe DJ or Brooks or Justin Thomas or Ricky Fowler. Now, all of a sudden, I still think it has the same effect. Just because Tiger's there and maybe someone else isn't, I still think you get that all of a sudden it's not the best of the best anymore. You know, and that's just my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own, but the best of the best are being invited to this tournament. If they're not all there, I think it loses some flavor. And, you know, that brings us to another point now. So with the WGC going on, the PGA Tour, everybody that's not invited to WGC is playing in Puerto Rico. Okay, so now you're having a separate 2-tournament weekend, and the idea of WGC is to bring the best players in the world, but you still have many of the best players playing in Puerto Rico. You've got guys in Puerto Rico that will undoubtedly end up in the world top 10, maybe not this year, but over the next few years. You know, you've got a Victor Hovland down there in Puerto Rico. Who's to say 10 years from now he's not number 1 in the world, or maybe 5 years from now? So do I think the WGC tournaments maybe dilute, or not dilute, but kind of give us too much golf on a weekend and not give us who we want to see? I think a part of me says yes. I think having these dual tournament weekends, WGC and Puerto Rico, for example, this weekend, I think that's a lot of golf to be watching. Don't get me wrong, golf diehard, but that's a lot of golf to be watching. How do I choose which one? You know, preferably, I'd like to say it's WGC because it's the best of the best. But when you're talking missing names like Tiger Woods or Tony Finau, I'm going to tell you, I'm probably going to watch a little bit more of Puerto Rico and just follow what's going on with WGC. You know, I feel like those few names that are missing are just it doesn't make it feel like it's the top 50 or 75 in the world anymore. And I'd much rather watch a full field event in Puerto Rico than a tournament that invites 50 or 75 of the best players and you're missing 2 or 3 of them. To me, it just lacks something when those players are missing. So that's my take on WGC. Let me know below. Do you guys prefer the WGC? Do you prefer watching the regular tour events with 140 players? You know, let me know. Do you think losing a couple players from WGC harms the effect of it? Does it harm the tournament and make it less likely that people are going to watch? So we're going to digress. We're going to get away from the tournaments, but I guess if you wanted me to pick a name, and I'll leave it at this, for WGC, someone to watch this week, who do I think has the ability to win? Believe it or not, I actually would put some money towards maybe Cooch winning it again. He has the history there. Yeah, we all know about the caddy issues, but he plays well at that course. He wouldn't surprise me, nor would Thomas. But then again, them winning every week wouldn't be a surprise either. So, but if I had to hedge my bets, those are the 2 players I'm looking at. Next topic here. You know, we got about 10 minutes or so that I want to go. I don't want to make these super long, but next topic. You know, it's the beginning of the new year. All the club manufacturers just unveiled everything. You know, we've got Callaway out with the Mavericks and the Irons. Cobra's out with their Speed Zone sets. You know, TaylorMade's out with the Sims. It's that time of year. It's Christmas for golfers, let's call it. The question I want to pose to you guys, and I'll give you my take here in a second, but new equipment every year. the big guys want you to buy new equipment every year because it pays their players. It helps everything go. But is it really worth it? Do you, as a consumer, unless you're a consumer that has unlimited funds and don't mind spending thousands of dollars every year on new golf equipment, do you really think buying new equipment every year is truly worth it? Is it really helping your game? I'll tell you guys this. I do not buy equipment every year. My irons, we're talking 3-4 years. Drivers, probably in that same range. Putter, I haven't bought a putter for 3-4 years either. I'm kind of cyclical in terms of when I buy things, why I buy things. And to me, there has to be a true benefit to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a brand new set of clubs or a brand new driver, spend a couple, $400 or $500. I don't ever see a point where after I buy a club or a set of clubs, next year has improved that much more that I have to have that set. And studies have been shown, the guys over at My Golf Spy are really good at testing things over and over again and giving you the honest truth. For example, the F9, the Cobra F9 driver that came out last year, it made waves. It was a huge seller for Cobra. Many YouTube golf guys called it the #1 driver of the year, and there was a reason for it. The performance on it was better than any Cobra driver had been for a long time. I have the F9. This year they bring out the Speed Zone. I looked at it, saw some specs on it, and I do watch other reviews on it. I could not fathom spending, after seeing some side-by-side comparisons between the F9 and the Speed Zone and some of the numbers on it. The numbers are minuscule to the F9. There's not a huge gap. There's not a huge difference to the point where I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to go spend another $500 on a driver, even though I just bought one last year. It's not going to work that way. I don't see that value, nor do I see it in irons. Take for example, because I'm a single length player, I'll throw it out there. Cobra F7s were their first intro into the single length iron world. There were some issues. A lot of players had the F7s, had some gapping issues, had some trajectory issues, things like that. The F8s the next year, and I played the F7s. I have not played the F8s. I have not played the F9s. I have not played the Speed Zones. I will tell you that, and I'll tell you a little bit more why. But the F7s I played, and I was actually comfortable and able to get the results I wanted out of the F7s. I was probably a rare occurrence to some of the guys and what I see out there. It looks like the majority had gapping issues. From what I saw, the F8s took care of that gapping issue. They helped with the gapping issue, and even more so in the F9s and the Speed Zones. So in the case of the F7s, the F8s that took care of some gapping issues, the F9s that even enhanced on it a little bit more, even though they're 2 years apart, is that something I would say is worth upgrading your game, upgrading to your bag? Yeah, I would. If a manufacturer finds somewhat of a flaw or somewhat of an issue with the majority of the players playing those clubs, next year releases an update that takes care of that issue. As much as you don't want to hear it, why not spring for the new set of clubs? Now, as I said, I didn't with my F7s for the simple fact that I got what I needed. My gaps were actually correct and doing everything I needed to do on those. I also became a little bit of a better player, so I sat on the F7s until I could get the new, or what's new to me, the Cobra Forge Tech Blacks in the 1 length. So I went to a forged club there. But there are cases where you do and probably are better off upgrading to that new set. But then again, you have to bite the bullet of spending $500, $600, upwards of $1,000 for a new iron set when you just bought one last year. I get it. It's frustrating. One of the things I always recommend is if you're upgrading the next year, so you buy this year and you're going to buy again next year for whatever reason, take this year's set, get the most out of it that you can. go to a Global Golf, go to a Rock Bottom, one of the companies that offers trade in the current set you have, and knock off some of the cost that you're using to buy the new set of irons that you want. So, that's my 2 cents on that. But overall, is buying new equipment every year worth it? No. And if you do what I do, I put it on a cycle. So I'll buy a putter, for instance. That putter is going to stay in the bag for 3 or 4 years. The driver, I'll buy the next year to offset cost. Again, 3, 4 years with that driver. Irons the following year. And then again, 3, 4 years with the irons. 3 wood, woods, hybrids. Do it so that you're not spending, $2,500, $3,000 all in 1 year. Try and offset it. That way, when it is time and you know that there's something out there that is truly going to help your game and improve your game, that's when you want to do it. So give yourself 3 to 4 years between clubs. But if you rotate it, 1 year as a driver, 1 year as a putter, 1 year's irons, next year's woods, then you're not stuck buying all new clubs all at the same time. And you're able to actually give yourself enough of a gap where the manufacturers can actually go ahead and improve on the current model that you have. But chances are over 1 year, it's not going to be that much better. All right, guys, last section here. Last thing I want to talk about before I kind of get into a couple little things here. But I asked you guys to comment a little bit earlier about your best golf memory, something that really sticks with you about golf. And if you haven't commented already, go ahead and comment now. But the best golf memory, it's funny because golf is such a unique sport compared to the other sports out there in the world that it's completely individual unless you're a pro player and have a caddy and a team of guys with you. But even to that extent, you're still out there by yourself unless it's a Ryder Cup or President's Cup, something like that. So it gives you the opportunity to really build a lot of memories. Team sports, I love team sports because the camaraderie. I played football, I played basketball growing up. I have some vivid memories, but not quite as many as I have with golf. And that comes back to the individual sport aspect of it. So I want to talk a little bit about my best golf memory. It's kind of a 2-part golf memory. And, when he sees this, he's absolutely going to have a cow that I'm still talking about this. But when I was 8 years old for my birthday, my grandfather, and at that time, my great-grandfather was still alive, they gave me my first set of golf clubs. And I still remember it at my great-grandfather's house, getting the clubs. I think there were 4 or 5 clubs in the set. It was hand-me-downs that the family had of junior golf clubs. The bag was a solid blue tube that was probably about 8 inches in diameter. I only had 1 zipper pocket, but I'll tell you what, I couldn't put the clubs down. I started, I'd play in my grandfather's yard. I'd play at home. I'd create my own little courses. And until I could really outgrow those, that's just kind of the way it was. I used those until I absolutely outgrew them and had no other choice. But so my grandfather and my great-grandfather got me started into the game. Let's flash forward. I was 8, so let me kind of do some quick math. 26 years later, the ripe old age of 34 last year, year and a half ago now, somewhere in there. My grandfather's him and I have always been pretty close, even though he's never lived really close to me. He spent time the other side of Pennsylvania, Las Vegas. He's in North Carolina now. But anytime we got together, anytime we talked, it was, always majority of the time, how's golf? How's your golf game coming? And we really have a strong bond over golf and a lot more than that, but we always gravitate back towards golf. And, as I got older, and was able to spend some more time with him just because I was able to travel a little bit more. And when they'd come into town, him and I'd play some rounds, talk about our rounds. And, the man is the smartest player on a golf course I've ever been around. He plays the shot that he needs to play to give himself the best opportunity to score. You know, he wouldn't blast the driver on a 300-yard hole because he's not giving himself a full swing in with a wedge. You know, he'll lay back for that simple fact. And, you know, he reads the greens, and his chips are where he has a uphill easy putt. You know, so I never did that for the longest time. And you know, he would whoop my ass on the course, you know, so many times. And it didn't matter if my drives are out at 300 yards and his are at 240. I couldn't beat him at all. No way. So a couple years ago, we're in the Outer Banks on vacation, and they came out to visit for a few days. And as typical, him and I, you know, had a round planned, and went to the Currituck Golf Club. If you guys are familiar with North Carolina's Outer Banks, it's Currituck Golf Club is a beautiful course. It sits between the ocean and the Sound, you know, on a narrow strip of land. It's such a gorgeous course. And, you know, my game had been improving, and we had, you know, talked some smack back and forth leading up to seeing each other and getting out on the course. And it was a loser buys the beer type of day. And we get up early, go to the course, and it was humid, and it had to be about 95 at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was sweating right off the bat. And, you know, I'm like, oh, this doesn't help me. So we get out there and we play, and, you know, we're keeping score, and I know I'm doing well. You know, I know I'm up. I haven't, we get to 16, 17. I haven't fully calculated it. I know I'm up. In my head, I'm thinking 3-4 strokes. We go to 18, and I put one in the woods, drop into the greenside bunker, out of one bunker into another bunker. Next thing I know, I take a quad 8 and he pars, and I'm like, oh man, I just wasted the only chance I may have to beat my grandfather. And like I said, I'm 34. You know, he's up there. I'm not gonna say how old he is, but, you know, he's still spry and young, and actually still plays the game really, really well, and still hits it very far. So we go back to the clubhouse, and I'm shaking my head on the way back. He's like, what's the matter? And I was like, I think you got me. I said, I can't believe I blew 18 that bad. And he's like, well, he's like, you can't beat the best. And we're joking, and we're having a good time laughing on the way back to the clubhouse. And we get in, and I hand him the card, and I'm like, I don't even want to look at it. I said, just tell me, you know, even or how many 18 cost me. And bartender comes over, and he's like, I got to buy the beer. And I look at him, I said, what do you mean you got to buy the beer? And he's like, you got me by 4. I said, I had you by 8 going into 18. He's like, yeah. And I was like, whoa. At 34, I still went home. I still bragged once we got back to the house. I'm like, I did it. And my pap's wife, she's hilarious because she knows that's been one of my biggest goals, is to beat him. So, you know, she's like, well, how bad you lose today, Craig? I'm like, I didn't. She's like, no. And he's like, yeah, you got me. She's like, so you had to buy the beer, Dave? He's like, yep. So that guy's, in a nutshell, is, you know, my best golf memory. Like I said, it's a 2-parter because the man who got me started in the game, and, you know, we built a strong bond over this game. You know, I finally got to beat him because he's given me so much advice over the years with my golf game that I can't thank him enough. But to finally get over that hurdle and beat him, it was a good feeling. And now we played a couple times since, and the shoe's on the other foot. You know, he can still give me a run for the money, but I don't think he's beaten me since that time. So, you know, I'm not going to put that on him and, you know, brag about that a lot. But so that's my favorite golf memory, guys. And I'd love to hear yours and hear what you guys think. And, you know, whether it's how you got started or a hole-in-one. That's one thing I've never had, is a hole-in-one. And speaking of that, I want to kind of give you guys a lead into one of the videos I'm hoping to do soon as the weather breaks. I want to shoot this video and go out. We have a par 3 at my local course that I'm a member of and that I do some work with. Right now there's winter tees. So the winter tees on the 4th hole, It plays uphill. You cannot see the green at all from the tee shot. And it plays about 65 yards. That's normally the women's and seniors tees. The championship tees I play from, it is up on the hill, 135. You can see the green. But I want to do a blind hole-in-one challenge because I've never had one. It's a 65-yard shot. I can't see if it happens. I want to get out there, take 20 balls, and take 20 balls. And sorry, something popped up on the screen here. Take 20 balls, set up the camera, just hit 20 65-yard pitch shots into that green, see what happens. Obviously, I can't see what happens from down below, but we can get it on camera. So if the weather turns and I can get out to the course for about an hour or so, I'm going to get that done. I've got some other videos in the queue that we're going to be working on. So stay tuned for those. I hope to get you that hole-in-one. It's going to be a blast. I know it is. I know you guys are going to love it. So that's what's coming in the pipeline. If you guys have any suggestions, send me an email, singlelengthschool@gmail.com. You can send a message here through YouTube, over on Facebook at Single Length School, Instagram at Single Length School. We're on Twitter as well at One Length School. So guys, subscribe, hit the notifications button. We appreciate everybody that follows the page and interacts with us. Send us an email if there's a video that you want to see or suggestion or something. And if you guys are single length players and you need some advice or even want to connect with some other single length players, go check out on Facebook. If you're a member of Facebook, there's a group called Playing Golf with One Length Irons. It's a new group. Some great guys started it. I'm proud to be, part of the group in there, and interact. So jump in there, check out those guys, interact with some single length guys, one length guys. But if you're not, that's okay too. We appreciate having you here. And we're going to, like I said, I'm going to bring tips that are not only single length based, but for everybody else. So again, if you guys have any questions, hit us up, hit the notifications button, subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you guys. We should have another video for you on Tuesday and another live stream next week on Thursday. So Single Length School, I'm Craig. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys soon.